Go Hawks. Okay, this is my last round. My opponent's Dominican Republic, and he played the Trompowski. I usually play e6. Knight c3, d6. All right, so here I'm like out of, I mean, like, I know that this is probably theory what I'm doing. And so here I'm like, I don't know. And we were both playing pretty quickly, like playing last round quickly, like we didn't care until we stopped. I played a6 because I don't want no knight b5 coming. You know, I don't know. Leave me alone. And I figure I might play b5 later. Okay, then I played g5. The engine says I'm playing fine. So, I don't know. Check. Engine actually prefers black a little bit in this ending because I have two bishops and I can attack these pawns. Played b5. Engine likes that. Yeah, it actually likes the way I played this game. Yeah, now here's where I went awry and astray. And when I say that, I played fine. But I think it might make more sense to play knight c6 here. Although the weak engine's saying that my move is better. I'm not sure. Yeah, the problem is this center is going to fall apart. Bishop g7, c5, b4, knight d7, knight c6. This center can't be held. So I have the two bishops. I'm just going to destroy the center. So that's why he's trying to trade pieces and make the center sort of closed. Okay, so I traded and I played c5. Again, I was playing very quickly. I just thought these moves made sense. You know. And he was playing pretty quickly too. And right around here, we both stopped and we both started thinking a lot. But he was really thinking a lot. He was taking 10, 15 minutes a move after playing very quickly. And, you know, I was thinking like 3 minutes a move. But before that, I was taking like seconds a move. Yeah, I figured I wanted to destroy his center. And, you know, knight c6 and, you know, take everything in the center. So he played knight f3. He can also play d5. It's not clear which is better. And I thought a long time here because I didn't know what to do. And I played rook g8 check. And the reason I played rook g8 check, and probably I wouldn't play it now, is if he plays sort of the obvious king f2, you know, then I take, and I have bishop c5. Yeah, the engine says I'm winning here. Cool. Yeah, knight here, knight c6. Yeah. So I figured he couldn't play king f2, so he'd have to play king h3, and his king would be cut off from the rest of the board. And it turned out that is what happened. Play king h3, which is the right move. King f2 is a mistake. And the rest of the game, his king was cut off. So, I mean, it worked out, but I think it shouldn't have worked that way. I think I'm allowing him to play rook g1 with tempo and sort of take over the g file. So I didn't like my decision when I did it, but 15 moves later, then I liked the decision when it was all working out. So I thought forever here, and I played knight d7, finally developing a piece. And now he must have thought like 20 minutes here. And he didn't make good decisions at this point. I really think he should play d5. The engine says it's equal, but I think the way the game went, he got a worse position. He played knight e4, and I can do anything. I can take either pawn or play d5. I chose d5, and he just went back here. And I think this is a very bad position for white because these kind of structures where he has a pawn on e5. He's got weak pawns on f4 and d4 that he can't protect, especially without the g-pawns. He can't play g3. And the fact that he has more space and cramping me, he can get an attack, that doesn't matter. It's the end game. If it was opening or middle game, I wouldn't know what to do with my king. But okay, there's no queens on the board. We've traded a couple of pairs of minor pieces. So I don't think he has any play here. Okay, so I took. He took bishop c5 after a long thought. Played c3, which surprised me. I played rook c8, and he played rook c1. Now, okay, and I played king e7. Yeah, makes sense. He played knight f3. Okay, now, if you follow me on my Discord, which most of you don't, Trying to Learn was posting for the first time in the tournament, hey, you can watch Ben's game live. Or you can watch all of my games live, but I guess he discovered it during the last round. I don't know. Anyway, and he was explaining how he didn't understand my next move, but the engine likes it. And he was like, I would never think of this move. Now, here's what's funny about that. My move is the best move, and it does make the most sense. And I'm embarrassed that I didn't think about it for a long time, because it seems obvious to me when I see it, and I did play it. But I must have thought about 8 minutes here, and I was thinking about a lot of different moves, and finally the right move came to me. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with my knight. Do I want it on f5, e4, d3, c4, a4? And obviously, getting it to f5 is difficult. And even if I could get there easily, he would just take it. And then e4, d3, c4, and a4 are easier. Knight c5, I can go here. And knight b6, I can go to either one of these squares. When I decided, I really liked knight e4. I was like, how do I get my knight to e4? Then it occurred to me that it's pretty easy to do. I just played bishop b6. Always retreat. And then my knight can hop in here, although I will hop in here if he lets me, because that forks 3 things. But he's going to let me go here because he can't stop me. And bishop b6 is the best move. And the engine says black is practically winning here, because my king is better than his, my pawn structure is better, my bishop is good, and his knights don't have good squares to go to. They're the prototype superfluous knights, as coined by Dvoretsky in one of his books. They don't have any good squares to go to. They're tripping over each other, etc. Now, this turn was played right before 420, so you could see why they were tripping. Did Karen bring me a Perrier and I drank it? She did, and I drank it. Man, harsh. Terrible. What about B4? That's a very famous song. What about B4? Yeah. So stopping me from playing knight here, and again, my opponent's thinking forever on every move. Did play B4. That's correct. Now, I thought a long time here, and I made a very unusual decision, which I will stick with. I think I should just play rook c4. But I made a decision confusing the audience. That decision is bishop takes d4. And the reason is I've given up on knight c5, because I played b4. Now I like the knight b6 to c4 idea, and I thought either way he captured would be bad for different reasons, and I was correct. Obviously, if he takes with the knight and I play rook c4, I can double rooks and I can play knight b6 to a4, and there's too much pressure here. It's going to collapse. And if I play rook c4 with the bishop on the board, he could play knight d2, kicking my rook out, and then go back to f3. So that's one of the advantages of taking here first, is he can't kick my rook out, and my knight has b6 to a4 more quickly because my bishop's not on b6. So I'm quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it's not easy to defend all of this. So after long thought, he took with the pawn. And now this is a very important question for the gawking rabble. Even if you're not gawking rabble, it's important. That's weird, isn't it? You'd think only if you were gawking, but no. Black only has one move here. If you don't make that move, you're not going to win the game. There's only one move that makes any sense. I wouldn't give it double exclam. I'd give it like, one exclam maybe. Maybe. Yeah. The king e8, that wins, but it wins for white. Is that the worst legal move on the board? Wow, how'd you find it? I know you're kidding, but still. You lost 2 rooks in one move. That's got to be the worst move on the board. Damn. Watching this live. I did play it live. Right, rook c4. The problem is he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. If he takes my rook, that's bad. If he doesn't take my rook, that's bad. So he did not take my rook. If he does, I take with the d pawn. This is important. Taking this way is also good for black, but this is better because I have the d5 square for my knight. And then he has just all these weak pawns. And I have a protected passed pawn at QGD. QGD. I really said QGD. Wow. I must be old. Instead of QED, I said QGD. That's getting pretty crazy there. And he can't attack, again, he can't attack my rook with his knight because his pawns are all juicy. So he defended his B pawn, and then when I doubled up on the bubble up, he just moved away. And he said, well, I defended everything, but you can't play chess like that. And a lot of times, better players, higher rated players, strong grandmasters, they'll do things that are odd, that don't make a lot of sense, because they're avoiding just defending everything when they know it's going to collapse. They will defend everything when they know it's going to hold. They're like, oh yeah, this defends, and he won't be able to crack me. And I talked to Nirvana about that, and they said they weren't going to crack, and then Kurt Cobain died. So I don't know. I think he cracked. He said it several times that he wouldn't crack, but he did. Yeah. Also QGD. QGD. And so forth. No! Hey Siri, how are the Hawks doing?
The Hawks are losing to the Heat, 85-75, with less than a minute left in the third quarter in Game 3.
Yeah, it's the third quarter. That's fine. Okay. So I don't like this A3 rook here. It's not going to work. All right, so I played rook C3. He played rook F1, knight B6. My rooks are coming. My knight's coming. Can't make that joke. Moving on. Rook F2, defense. Rook B3. I want to play this rook here, obviously. And I did. Man, tough to be. Now his pawn is attacked, which I barely care about. Okay, and he played F5. Now here he decided, like, he's just losing, and if he does nothing, I'm going to take all of his pawns. So now he went crazy. So he lost quicker, but at least he gave himself a chance. No, I think Atlanta's still going to win the series. It's just not going to be easy. There'll have to be some cheating involved or something. Go refs. Okay, so F5 I have to take. He can't take with the king because his knight's attacked. And I play king. He played king F4, obviously. All right, and this is an excellent move that I play here, and I'm going to let you guys think about it here, like what black should do here. Now, obviously, since you're the gawking rabble, the only move you would ever consider is rook takes A3 because it wins a pawn. And not a move I would consider. I'm not giving up my doubled rooks here for this stupid rook and taking the pressure off of his knight. Frankly, that's terrible. It does win, but it's terrible. I played the best move because that's what you guys pay me to do. So figure out what white wants to do, what black wants to do, and figure out an excellent move for black whilst I cry about the Hawks. Hey Siri, how are the Hawks doing?
At the end of the third quarter, the Hawks are trailing the Heat, 85-77,
That's
in
not as
Game
bad.
3 of the conference quarterfinals.
Man, dog's going crazy. Trae Young, 14 points, terrible. 7 assists is okay. Gallinari, 11. Collins, 6. Herder, 11. Yeah, terrible. These are terrible stats. Nobody has any rebounds. Bogdanovich has 6 assists. That's a lot for Bogdanovich. Very bad stats. Hunter has 16 points. He has no rebounds and no assists and no steals. What's wrong with you? That's the same as me. I'm not playing. Yeah, Collins just isn't himself. He's not playing the way he did earlier in the season. Got injured for a long time. Terrible. Come on, Trey. Let's have a big fourth quarter. Yeah, he likes to jack it up from 40 feet away. I wish he'd stop doing that. All right, let's see if anybody... Rook e4? That would be, reasonable. You still take. Even your illegal moves don't win immediately. All right, so I don't see the right move anywhere. No, nobody wrote rook e6. Maybe he meant this rook to e6. Ah. Yeah, the moves you write are bad and you should feel it. Nobody wrote the move that I played. Man, harsh. All you got to do is put an engine on and cheat and you'll get it right. So none of you did that. Wow. I didn't put an engine on, but I still played the right move. I actually won a prize at Foxwoods. I won like $280. I'm the best. Well, knight h3 is illegal, Sager, but I get the idea. Right, rook d3 is the best move. That stops all of his pieces from moving. He can't move his rook off of his knight, so he can go here, 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 here. He can't move his knight because rook takes d4. That's the main idea, is I don't want his knight to move, especially to what was suggested. And if knight h4, hoping to trade pawns, then you lose your knight. So rook d3 just stops the knight from moving. But he's got to move something. Hard to move anything. He's in time trouble, too. Okay, so he played knight e1 because you got to move something. But if he doesn't move something, I can play your ideas like king e6 and put my knight on g6, or knight g6, or knight here, knight e3, knight a4, knight... I have a lot of ideas. So he played here and traded. And I played knight c4, threatening knight e3 mate with advantage. Now, my first thought was this. My first thought was rook h3, threatening rook h5 mate with advantage. But then I saw what move he would play, and I decided not to do this. What's the only move for white to stop this checkmating idea? No, nh4 smells fine. It's nh3 that doesn't smell good. Learn your chemistry. Knight f3, rook h5 is still mate. You guys staved off mate for one move, so you were happy? Really? Wow. Maybe chess just isn't your game. I know. Let's have a spelling contest. Yeah, rook f4, that gives his king the g4 square. Now, this is still winning, but once I saw rook f4, I looked for better moves. So I played knight c4, threatening knight e3 mate. I thought he would play knight c2, and I had a way to beat that. So he played knight c2, which is best. Rook here, threatening his pawn. Rook e1. And I saw this when I played knight c4. I have a really strong move here. Now, the engine won't help you. The engine says this wins, this wins, this wins, this wins. Okay, my way is the human way. I like this way better. It has a human touch. This is the best way to win because it's the easiest. I play the move rook b2. It's a very forcing way to win. So now I'm threatening either rook takes knight or rook takes rook. They both win immediately. So he plays the obvious move. Rook takes e4, takes, and I'm threatening knight e3 check. I'm threatening knight takes a3. I'm also threatening rook takes knight, followed by knight e3 check with the fork. So he took the pawn because there's no other move that makes any sense, and I take this. And he should resign, but he didn't. And the other way to not resign is to play king d3, and then we just trade everything, and I easily win the king and pawn ending, as you can see. So instead of losing the king and pawn ending, he just played rook f6 and played down a knight. What am I, chopped liver? I'm a vegan. Okay, so the game went on needlessly for a few moves. And he resigned here. Cried like a grandmaster. Yeah. So yeah, probably that was one of my 2 best games was my last game. So I finished the tournament on a good note. Won the last game, 2.5 out of the last 3, etc. But yeah, I mean, I'm paired way down every round. So obviously I should be beating people. So I lost like 25 rating points USCF. Frankly, terrible. That game I liked, actually. That was a pretty good game. Yeah. But most of my games was me getting an advantage and then I couldn't win. And I had nothing. Better than equal. Better than equal. That was most of it. Then there was the one game where I'm winning and I made a 1-move blunder and had to resign. That was also bad. So I had a lot of, like messing up. A lot of bad stuff happened. Hey Siri, how are the Hawks doing?
The Hawks are behind the Heat,
No.
89 to 79, with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Hey Siri, can you make the Hawks win for me? Thank you.
The pregame odds favored the Heat over the Hawks by 2
No.
points.